have to do this to make people respect our program. I don't know. That's up to you guys. I mean, I know that we have the heart of a champion. I know these guys, how hard they work, how hard our staff works, how much time, energy, passion we put into this. And, you know, this will just be more fuel for us.
All right, Jeffrey, so some interesting words there from Greg Marshall after the game. You know, this is a program that feeds off the disrespect, and then he comes out and says, you know, how many years do we have to be disrespected?
Yep. But the only one really disrespecting them is the committee. I think national media this week has been overwhelming in their glowing respect for Wichita State. Other coaches, overwhelming in their glowing respect for Wichita State. So it's really just the committee to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost to a point where you kind of got a little bit worried about the Shockers being favored in these games. Good evening. Welcome to Sports Sunday. I'm Lance Snow, Jeffrey Parson, of course. And that's the sentiment from Greg Marshall. That says it all. The Shocks fall to Kentucky 65-62. Our entire team is out covering the NCAA tournament. We have Ariel Arsuto in Tulsa, and we have Will Kunkel in Indianapolis with the Shockers. That's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the Shocks. Will, Wichita State in Kentucky. Will, how tough is this team, you know, even in defeat today against that big, powerful Big Blue?
Well, they're extremely tough. They were all but out of this at one point when they were down 6 or 7 late in this game, and then Landry Shamet just willed them back into this. Finally, the shots started falling for them. They couldn't hit anything in the first half. This is an extraordinarily tough team, and we're going to talk about it a little later. They're all coming back, too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked about a lot that the three-headed monster. Landry Shamet, great today. Shaquille, great today. Marcus McDuffie struggled in these 2 games. What did you see from him?
He's too fast. He's got to take a breath, and he's got to slow down. I talked to him about that after Dayton. When he gets sped up, he starts making poor decisions. He starts forcing things, and he doesn't play his game. He is way too long, way too athletic, and way too talented to not be affecting this game in a more positive way for Wichita State. He's just got to slow down, let the game come to him. I thought Connor did a tremendous job of that in the Dayton game. He wasn't very impactful, but he didn't force a lot. He didn't force things to go his way. When he was covered, because they were guarding him 40 feet away from the basket, he got rid of it and he moved it. He didn't force the action. Marcus needs to start doing that a little bit more.
All right, well, you caught up with these guys after the game. Let's get a listen in.
Could have been anything, you know, just because it's all the little things that can help you win in a game like this, you know. Easy checkouts, rebounds, free throws. Could have been anything that could have made a difference.
My shot wasn't falling. None of us, you know, we struggled shooting, and, you know, basketball is sort of a game of luck, you know, and I guess we didn't have that luck from the shooting standpoint. And unfortunately, we still were able to almost win the game.
Felt like we was capable of winning this game. It's tough to lose in such a close game.
We'll hang in there just a minute. We're going to run through some of these numbers for you. This is really a tale of 2 halves. Shaq Morris led Wichita State in the first half. He had 8 points, but both teams really struggling. You know, great defense, Jeffrey.
Absolute physical effort defense from very talented athletes.
Absolutely. Shockers only shoot 30% from the floor. Kentucky 32% from the floor. Rebounds and turnovers, though, even, and early on, this was shaping up to be an instant classic.
It really was.
Yeah, Will, what did you think of Wichita State entering the second half of this game?
Well, I thought we were going to see a much better second half. I thought it was going to open up, and it did. Wichita State was much more assertive. They played the alpha male in the first half. They were the ones, they were letting Kentucky dictate what they were allowed to do and not allowed to do in the second half. Wichita State played much more their game. And, of course, when the shots are falling, it looks a lot better. But in the first half, they were missing assignments all over the place. Shaquille Morris was setting screens and then just standing there instead of rolling. If he rolled a couple times in the early first half, there were some easy buckets to be had there.
I thought part of the second half, in the first half, the depth of Wichita State, which we've talked about all season, wasn't great. Darrell Willis wasn't really good. Dyshawn Smith had some troubles. Second half, they barely went to the bench, and it still really didn't produce for them like we've seen so much this season.
I think the best part about it was when they had their bigs on the floor. So when you had Shaq, Rashard Kelly, Zach Brown, and Marcus McDuffie defensively, that's when they started getting back in this game. I thought they were so good defensively, and I figured they would be because they played team defense, and that's how you can slow down Kentucky. And then Kentucky plays more one-on-one defense, which would allow Wichita State to score. And they had open shots, but again, they just weren't falling. So it was a tough game, and it was a tough ending as well.
All right, so a dejected team after the game, and, once again, we hear from them.
We had a set called in transition, and, I was supposed to go hand the ball off to Marcus, but I kind of saw him being denied pretty heavy. And so I just, that's my fault. Coach had the play called, and I just kind of broke it off. And came off a screen from Shaq, I think, and then just tried to find a window. And obviously that didn't go very well.
I think I was supposed to come off the ball screen or something like that. But, I mean, Landry was playing so well, I'd rather it in his hands, Unfortunately, they knew he was going to shoot the ball because he was so hot. He had a great game. He's very special. And they just made a good block, made a good play.
All right, so both those guys discussing the final shot of the game there. Landry Shamet gets the call and gets it blocked there from the three-point line. But, he really did his part in the second half, Jeffrey. 20 points, 7 of 14 shooting. Landry
wills them back into this game. And it was the Landry Shamet coming out party nationally like we thought it would be. To me, the final shot isn't nearly as important as the one before that. That's where you're down one. There's plenty of time. You can take the lead, put the pressure back on Kentucky. At that point, ends up with Marcus McDuffie, and instead of driving, he settles for a three that's blocked right in his face. Well, I thought maybe that affected him on the next possession. Maybe he was a little tentative to go get the ball like they were talking about.
Yeah, he was tentative to get the ball, but they weren't going to allow him to get the ball. They had him trapped in the corner, and they weren't allowing him to come up for the screen. So I think it was Rashard Kelly who ended up setting that screen for Landry Shamet. So that play essentially was broken from the start because Landry Shamet couldn't keep going further anymore, or else he would have ran out of bounds. So then he was double teamed, and really the play was over because Marcus McDuffie didn't come up and screen, but also Kentucky didn't allow him to come up and screen and get the ball either.
Yeah, very good points there, Will. All right, so this was a fantastic game. We had the whole nation watching this thing. In fact, we have some interesting tweets here. Lil Wayne weighing in. How about that, Jeff? Are you a Lil Wayne fan?
I am not, but apparently a lot of people are. He's got like 23 million followers.
Absolutely. Says he's a big fan of Shaq Morris. This was also Antoine Carr. Actually, that's Lil Wayne right there saying he's a big fan of Shaq Morris. Antoine Carr also coming out of the woodwork, tweeting to former Shocker Clee Anthony Early, saying there's not been a better player since Teray Murray and Jamar Howard. And while we're talking about Clee Anthony Early, this is a little flashback here. The Shockers and Wildcats' first matchup, remember back in 2014, Anthony went crazy. He had 31 points, probably a great NBA draft performance for him there, and really kept Wichita State in that game. Will, stay on the line with us. We're going to check back in with you throughout the show. But before we check on Ariel Orsuto, she's in Tulsa. Ariel, you saw the Jayhawks dismantle Michigan State today. What was that like to see?
Well, Lance, what was it like to see? I mean, it was really the tale of two halves, just like you were talking about with Wichita State. I felt like it was deja vu all over again after watching the first game. This game, the first half, they shot 50% even. The second half, it was not as good shooting, but they came out and they got a lot of stops, a lot of rebounds, totally turned it around. It ended up being a 20-point win for the Jayhawks, and the crowd here was phenomenal.
Yeah, and Josh Jackson, he's back on the floor for the second straight game, and he was pretty confident after the game.
I felt like after seeing a few shots go in, I felt like I could make a couple more. I felt like I made some tough shots today, but hopefully I could keep doing that through the rest of this tournament. Hopefully I don't have to, though. But, it was just a really fun game, and I was just happy to be out there.
We're better when we have pace, and certainly, these guys have all been there before. But I think they'd be the first to tell you it was a fun game. It was a fast-paced game. The pace was faster than the final score indicated, even in number of points. And they go downhill when they get possession as well as anybody. But we did a good enough job in transition defense.
Well, yeah, Kansas obviously a great run and gun team as well. He's sort of selling themselves a little short. Kansas offensive numbers here. Kansas has failed to hit 75 points or more only 6 times.
Yeah.
In their last 44 games, they can score.
But don't you love that? He's like, the pace was even faster than the score indicated. You scored 90 against a Tom Izzo team, and you're still talking about the pace was faster. If Josh Jackson plays like that, it opens up everything else for this team.
Yeah, they were running and gunning today. Ariel, then in the second half, take me through some of Kansas' adjustments.
Well, some of their adjustments. Landon Lucas in the first half, he was grabbing all of the boards. I mean, he ended up finishing with a double-double. But the problem, he ended up in some foul trouble. So Dwight Colby comes in and doesn't turn up a lot of points. But, man, he grabbed a ton of rebounds, hits a huge three-pointer. The whole bench went crazy. The crowd went crazy. In the locker room, that's all they could talk about. So this bench, it's what we've been talking about all season long. They don't have a lot of depth, but, man, when they need their bench to come alive, they sure answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you're scoring that many points, you're going to have a lot of fun, and they were having fun after the game.
Focused in and started getting stops and making easy baskets, couple and ones, and then like Frank said, Dwight was the spark, really the MVP of the second half for us, and I felt like we really did play our best ball.
All right, Kansas defense had a great performance, actually. They bend but don't break, especially down the stretch. Here's a look at their defensive numbers for you. Holds Michigan State to 34% beyond three-point range. They out-rebound. I mean, out-rebounding an Izzo team,
yep,
that's a notch in the belt. 34-24, so a 10 advantage on the boards, and then they win the turnover battle 14-10. So, all right, we got to move. Coming up on the show, we've got this.
There's a lot of great guys that do it the right way in our business, but he's certainly one of them.
All right, he was talking about Matt Painter right there. Coming up, we'll talk about KU's opponent next week, and later on, more talk of frustration and disrespect from Greg Marshall. Stay tuned.
Hatchet Hyundai Buick GMC?
New name, same great people.
Half-price shakes and ice cream slushes after 8?
Looks like a lot of people really got the memo.
Totally. I got the memo.
That's a cherry stem. That's a cherry stem.
Get shakes and new ice cream slushes for half price after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
At Honda, we're proud of our heritage. Like with the Civic. It's stylish. And fast, with great performance and handling. All things we learned building engines like this. So hurry in to the Honda Dream Garage sales event.
Right now, you could get a great deal on the Fit. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
With over 10,000 square feet of tools, it's hard to keep track of each other at the big tool store. I'm in woodworking tools. Where are you? I'm in trailer accessories. I'm between air tools and hand tools. Now I'm in precision tools. Let's meet near power tools. Big or small, we have them all. Located at the corner of K15 and 63rd Street South. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But on Saturdays, get here soon. We close at noon.
It's a new year and time for new windows from All States Exteriors. Don't live with cold, drafty windows through another winter. Take advantage of our winter savings event and save 20% on every window we install. Choose double hung, slider, or casement windows and save 20% during our winter savings event.
Call All States Exteriors today at 316-444-1193.
That's 316-444-1193 for your free in-home consultation.
Chevy is the most awarded car company 3 years in a row.
Really?
Let's see how quickly you can read through all their awards.
2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Kelley Blue Book 2016 Best Resale Value. 2016 JD Power Highest Quality Braking. 10 best blah, blah, blah. 2016.
Only about 90 more to go.
That's a lot of awards.
Qualified lessees can get this Chevy Cruze for around $189 a month. Plus, current select competitive lessees get an additional $3,000 competitive lease cash. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Can I help you?
Guys, you know who. Thank you. I got the VIP box.
So I got the exact same thing.
2 boxes. You guys are ridiculous. I'll take that one.
No.
Everyone's a VIP with our $5 chicken strip dinner. This is how you Sonic.
So we got some cool bumps there. Lil Wayne, it got us inspired.
Was that Lil Wayne?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Oh. It wasn't Lil Wayne, but the hip hop, the groove got us inspired there.
Sure,
so,
gotcha.
Yep. All right, welcome back to Sports Sunday. We take a look at the bracket right now. Kansas, of course, moving on to face Purdue. In fact, this thing's so awesome. We can go here into the Midwest bracket, and we can actually make that happen for you.
Yep.
Kansas going on to face Purdue because they've won a bunch of games now.
There you go.
We're going all the way to we're jumping levels.
Now we're in Kansas City.
There we are.
Yes.
We are in Kansas City. Ariel Arsuto joins us once again. Ariel, what was KU's thoughts on facing this Boilermaker team?
Well, they're definitely a little bit concerned about facing all of those big men. They said that they've never seen a lineup with 3 big men that they really have to go through. They said there's 2 7-foot people that they really have to protect, and they're really not sure. They haven't seen it yet. And they watched the Iowa State game along with all of us, and it was one crazy game. Iowa State trailing by a whole bunch of points, came back, made it really a game, and then Purdue just shut them down. And that's what they're really concerned about, especially because of how potent Iowa State is, and they know that. So they're definitely concerned about this. They're not sure, but obviously they're going to watch plenty of tape and be prepared for it when it comes Thursday.
Yeah, in fact, the players talked about that game specifically.
We watched the game yesterday against Iowa State. They execute really well. They feed the post. They can stretch it and shoot.
That's a different animal. That we haven't seen that this year. With a team that plays through their bigs. It seemed like to me, although we don't have as dominant a big, but with Withy or Thomas Robinson, playing through bigs, that's how they play, and certainly they're really good at it.
Jeffrey, have you seen them play?
Purdue?
Yes.
I don't know, 20 times this year, something like that. Look, we're standing up here last week, me and Ariel, I said it's an odd situation. KU could face a team that's beaten them, and they'd rather do that than play Purdue, because Purdue is a terrible matchup for them with Caleb Swanigan and Haas. They're just huge.
And you're looking at the reason why. Here's the heights over there on your right. Isaac Haas, 7'2", Matt Harms, 7'2", and then you have 6'10", all the way down to 6'8". Your best player is 6'9".
Yeah, Caleb Swanigan's one of the 2 best players in the country, and he was out hitting threes against Iowa State. He was doing everything against Iowa State.
Yeah, in fact, let's flip through these graphics here. Let's take a look at Swanigan here. 18.5 points a game from the big man, 12.6 rebounds per game. It's almost 13 there, so shoots at a really high clip, 52%. Ariel, your thoughts on KU matching up with this team?
Well, what's really interesting about this matchup is we're going to see a matchup of 2 possible players of the year, Frank Mason and Swanigan. And, they're definitely both in the conversation, and really, whichever team wins this might actually get the slight edge. So they're definitely going to be on the national spotlight in this game, and people are going to be watching the 2. Obviously, they're not going to be going up against each other, but it's going to be a really interesting matchup to see Frank Mason and Swanigan on the same court against each other.
Yeah, and in fact, the KU players after the game talked about matching up with these bigs specifically.
I think we match it fine. We played big teams before in our league. We've played big teams all year, so it's nothing new for us, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
They're a hard team to guard because they can play inside and out with the 2 7-footers. So it's going to be a real tough game for us.
All right, so it should be a tough game for them. So anyway, we'll switch back to Wichita State here in Kentucky. Obviously this wasn't the outcome they wanted, but moving forward, next year's team, obviously they're loaded.
Absolutely loaded. And what really the biggest goal, and it sounds odd to go into a national tournament playing for a national championship, to me the foremost goal was establish next season. And I think Wichita State did that in these 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we can get a look at their potential starting lineup for next year. Now, this is not certain. This is just purely based off this year and what we think might happen. You have Shamet, Frank Camp, Shaq Morris. There it is. Shaq Morris, Zach Brown, Marcus McDuffie. Any lineup shuffle there?
No, I think that'll be your starting lineup, and I think you cruise from there.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Shaq Morris, he such a great story here towards the end of the season.
Yes.
For Wichita State fans, this guy has drove people nuts. At times, the word lazy has been tossed out there, but towards the end of the season, this guy's looked anything but lazy.
Yeah, and everybody could see it. Well, that's the deal, because he's got ability that jumps off the page. And we saw it again today against a team as athletic as Kentucky. At times, he looked like the best athlete on the floor of doing things at his size. There's no doubt. If he can stretch this to his senior season, the sky's the limit for this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we have Will Kunkel back with us. Will, you saw this team all season. You see him tonight towards the end of the year. They're a different team really now than they were at the beginning of the year. And tonight, they really, it looks like they peak, as, a great coach would have them do towards the end of the season. What are your thoughts on them going into next season?
Well, they're going to be ranked top 25 for sure. And how high, who knows. But this team could win a national championship next year. Think about, if this team got the seeding that they probably deserved from a standpoint of how good they were this year, if they go into next season as a 3, or in the next NCAA tournament as a 3 seed, who's gonna stop them? It's gonna be a crazy tournament, of course, and they could lose at any time, but they have the chance to win a national championship next year, especially because they're all going to get better. And who knows who they add from a recruitment standpoint as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Will. In fact, Jeffrey, your thoughts on Wichita State and, a national title?
That is not out of the realm. That's not Will's not speaking crazy talk. He does sometimes. Yeah. Will, he says crazy things. This makes sense. It really does. I think they'll be top 15 preseason, and they have the depth everywhere else to make those kinds of. Marcus McDuffie's going to get a lot better, and those bench guys going to get a lot better next season.
Absolutely. And Will, this team, they're going to be great next year. And even we thought this was an off year. It's not, but we thought it was. They're still a great tournament team. Would you agree?
Absolutely. You lose Ron Baker, Fred VanVleet, and Evan Wessel. That you lose 2 NBAers at Wichita State, a school that's not known nationally for turning out NBA guys, despite the fact that they have, and then they're just as good this year, if not better. That's what this program is now. They're good perennially. They're good every single year, and they're continuing to get better. I talked to Greg Marshall at the beginning of the year. He's no longer selling a dream and a desire. He's no longer saying, hey, we could do the Final Four. We could do the Sweet 16. They've done the Final Four. They've done the Sweet 16. They've won a tournament game for 5 straight years. This team is as good as any right now in the country going into next year.
Oh, you're absolutely right. They're a nightmare in the tournament, too. It's a shame, Jeffrey. You have the NCAA tournament coming here to Wichita next year. Right. Wichita State, though, can't play in it.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the quirks of that. But, it only adds to the hype around Wichita State.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate Will Kunkel there. Now, coming up in the show, Greg Marshall has some candid words about his program.
It really doesn't matter what other people think, to be honest.
Greg Marshall's future and what he thinks about being disrespected. Plus, Bruce Weber back at K-State. We'll put a bow on the Wildcat season. Stay tuned. Sports Sunday.
Hatchet Hyundai Buick GMC.
New name, same great people.
Feeling nostalgic?
How time does fly.
Remember the 50s when laughter came easily?
Yes, I remember.
Missing the music of the 60s?
You mean you really like it?
Don't forget the heartthrobs of the 70s.
I'm glad you said that.
Hoping the 80s styles make a comeback?
That's all I want, too.
Want to relive the King's comedy into the 90s?
Top fact.
Then tune in to Antenna TV to fulfill your nostalgia needs. Antenna TV, channel 33.3, Cox Cable 674.
Hickory smoked barbecue and fresh grilled burgers with beef from the heartlands cooked to order and topped the way you like them. Two Brothers, awesome barbecue and delicious burgers.
Two Brothers Barbecue.
This spring, pick your power. Steel fuel-powered equipment is the #1 selling brand in America. And the new Steel Lightning battery system delivers the power to do more on a single charge. Right now, you can pick fuel or battery at a great price. Choose between the fuel-powered FS38 trimmer or the battery-powered FSA 45 trimmer. Both starting at just $129.99. Pick your power, then pick up a Steel. Visit SteelDealers.com.
My first loan, when I first started teaching in 1985, was at Credit Union America. It was an opportunity for me to get into an organization that I could be a part of, borrow money, save money, and not be part of the big institution. The process was personalized. It was a place where they knew my name. People at Credit Union America, they love their jobs. They're friendly, they're helpful, but I'm looking for financial services. I always come back to Credit Union of America. Team CUA was there for me, and they'll be there for you. Welcome to Friendly, and go Shocks.
Injured in a motorcycle accident?
I went over his hood.
I was laid up for a month. Who's going to fight the insurance company while you're recovering?
They said it was my fault.
You deserve more?
And you deserve respect.
I called a lawyer that I knew would give it to me straight.
Brian and Brian.
They took my case personally.
They got me a huge settlement.
More than enough to cover my bills and get me back on the road.
It's all about the lawyer.
Call now for the special attention
you deserve.
You better be Brian and Brian.
Win, or it's free. Guaranteed. Call 1-800-WIN-WIN-1.
Hi, I'm Cooper with my brother Cody from Two Brothers Barbecue. Our family specialties are ribs and briskets, hickory smoked and delicious. Treat yourself and your family today at Two Brothers Barbecue.
Pie 5 Pizza. Handcrafted personal pizzas in 5 minutes.
All right, welcome back to Sports Sunday. You know, Greg Marshall, that time of year, job openings all over the place, Indiana being the biggest one. Do you think he's going anywhere?
I don't, but Indiana's a blue blood. There's 6. There's only 6 blue blood programs. If they call, I mean, Greg Marshall would have to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. But he does have a great situation going on here. His family's here and really just appears happy. In fact, he was pretty open about that.
It's very humbling to have your name mentioned with these jobs, and sometimes I listen, and you know, ultimately maybe I'll take one, but right now we're very, very happy where we are. But at the same time, we don't bury our head in the sand. I've said that before, and we listen, and maybe there'll be a time for us to make a move, but I don't know when that's going to be.
You know, I think that's a really honest answer. You know,
Yes.
in front of a big stage.
Sure.
That was during the NCAA tournament that he talked about that, and I thought that was a pretty candid answer.
Yes.
That brings us to Bruce Weber. The Cats make the tournament. Any chance of Bruce Weber going anywhere?
I don't think so. No AD, win a game, even if it's a playing game in the NCAA tournament, I think he's safe. But seeing Brad Underwood leave again sure stings a little bit for a lot of K-State fans.
Yeah, it sure does. You know, seeing that guy go to Illinois, it just happened out of nowhere. And so he's heading to Illinois, and Oklahoma State's got a vacancy now. But I think you're right. Bruce Weber, I think he did what he had to do. And
Yes.
really, I'm not sure you get anybody else in there that's going to make him any better next year.
Well, and they've got young talent. Now you let him play it out a little bit.
All right, we'll get you to the tracker winner, Dylan Jensen. Congratulations. You get yourself a gift certificate, and you get on Sports Sunday. That's it. Stay with us next week.
Hi, friends. Phil here at Mel Hamilton Ford at the Big Corner, 119th and West Kellogg. Truck month's underway. 0% on all 16 and 17 F-Series trucks. 90 days, no payments. Every truck sold comes with 100,000-mile powertrain coverage. Come out today and see why the Ford F-Series truck's the best-selling truck since 1977. And why Ford's America's best-selling brand. At Mel Hamilton Ford, we care before, during, and after the sale, and that's the Mel Hamilton Ford difference.